Welcome, girls and boys, to this week's episode. Today we're going to be talking about a superpower and how to get it. Imagine that at this particular moment you met an alien and that alien creature offered you to get any superpower you want and you would have it until the end of your life. Being a very smart person, you of course would think of the best superpower you can have, because why settle for less, right? I would actually like you to take a moment right about now and think about this question. What would be the best superpower you would like to have? Alright, so what was the superpower that you chose? Did you want to fly like a Superman? Did you want to be super strong? Or maybe you would prefer to wake up every morning with a perfect hairdo? Or maybe that you could eat all the sweets you can and not gain any extra weight? Well, the thing is, with all these superpowers that I just listed, unfortunately, I don't think that they will make you happy till the end of your life. Things like that, they're kind of like fancy possessions. After a certain moment after its acquisition, you kind of get a little bit bored of them, right? And as research says, fancy possessions usually don't convert into happiness. What converts into happiness is experiences. If we look at superpowers in this light, I would argue that the best superpower for humans is joy and positive attitude. You didn't expect that, right? But the thing is that this will actually make you happier. You will be calmer, happier, and healthier, and possibly even more productive. You will definitely not ever regret having this superpower. And I bet this will be the best acquisition you had during your entire life. But wait, I hear you saying, that's not a superpower? Well, think again. It might not be something that belongs to a single superhero like it usually does in superhero movies. But we are not in a superhero movie, so this superpower can belong to many people. And this is great news. That means that you and me and everyone can have it. Let me tell you why it actually is a superpower. Because it can magically transform negative things into something a little bit more positive. For example, it can turn any weather, stormy, snowy, unpleasant, cloudy, into good weather. As they say, nature doesn't have bad weather. This superpower can transform any failures into life lessons. You won't be sulking because of the failures, you will actually learn from them and move on. And it can turn any chore that you need to do into fun activity, because you will be able to find something positive in it. It will turn boredom into creativity. Plus, you will definitely get an energy boost and get more creative, because, let's admit it, being sad and in a bad mood actually drains us from energy. So, how is that for just one superpower? It can also reduce the amount of stress that you have, and that will lead to better health, which in turn can bring you longer lifespan. That's awesome, right? And as a bonus to all of this, you will be a joy to be around, because let's admit it, no one really likes hanging out around people who are really negative. So I hope I convinced you that this is in fact a superpower. And now let's look into how to get it. I actually would argue that we all have it inside of us, but unfortunately, the hard life kicks it out of us and makes it dormant. And if you want to take a peek at what it's like to have it, just think back to the time when you were a kid. You probably were very curious, ran around looking at things and wondering about all the wonders of nature. And I bet when you just started learning to walk, by the time you fell 10th time, you probably didn't have such a conversation with yourself like, oh man, I'm such a failure, I will never be able to learn how to walk like all those people can. That's what a positive attitude is. Or an absence of negative self-talk. Even when you were a little bit older but still a kid, remember that you never actually ruminated on your past and thought about your failures, how embarrassing something was, and you probably also didn't think about the future all the time, worrying when you're gonna finish that, when you're gonna finish this. Everything had much brighter light to it, right? Now that you're an adult, and you have a lot of other habits that you develop through these years, you do need to train this superpower. And it doesn't happen very quickly. It's kind of like training your muscles or learning a new musical instrument. It is work. Let's start with the first and most effective, but also probably the hardest way to train this superpower. You gotta become conscious of your thoughts, emotions, and your automatic reactions. And because those reactions are automatic, This is very, very hard to just notice when you start thinking something really negative and stop it right there. This is a very, very tricky thing to do. But the good thing is that over time, you can actually develop this mindfulness and notice your thought processes and correct them on the go. For example, imagine you got up in the morning and you just spilled your coffee. What do you think? What's your thought? Do you think, oh man, I'm so clumsy, now I need to clean this up? Or you blame your cup for being such an unstable cup, or something else, feeling lazy and blaming yourself? Or, on the other side, you can say, well, spilled coffee happens and it's just life. Let's accept it, clean it up, and move on. Or another example, when you're waking up and you're dreading another day because it's filled with tasks and conversations that you don't want to have. And you can start the day thinking, this is going to be so hard. I cannot imagine all this conversation and I need to get everywhere on time. This is really hard. This is a very negative self-talk, and it doesn't set you up for a good day either. The better thought process would be, yes, this is the hard day and I'm going to do the best I can. And if something doesn't happen, that's just how things go, because I did my best and everything else is outside of my influence. So every time you encounter something like that, when you have this negative thoughts creeping in, telling you how maybe ugly you are, or how hard this life is, or how you hate your interactions with your manager, or something like that, you have to stop them and you have to tell yourself, I can do better. This is your own personal attitude to this life and you can change it actually. So every time, try and come up with a positive alternative, not just stopping negative thoughts. In order for this to work, you need not just to stop these negative thoughts, but actually replace them with something positive. And one of the things you can do is actually add reminders here and there. It could be on your phone, on your desktop, or just put sticky notes somewhere that you see it every once in a while and it reminds you to pay attention to what you're thinking. So this was the hardest step. Let's look at some easier ways that can help us achieve what we want. For example, imagine if we actually didn't have those negative thoughts to begin with. That would be great, right? So one of the ways to achieve that is to stop interacting with things that spoil your mood. For example, stop reading news when you know that they will definitely spoil your mood. If you watch a particular show and it always frustrates you, so why do you watch it? Or if you have some neighbors or friends or relatives that after interacting with them, you just feel so bad about this life or about yourself. Maybe they're always negative, or maybe they just don't appreciate you and always make you feel that you're not enough. Try and see during the day what makes you feel upset and put it in a list, and later on analyze this list and try to remove those things that spoil your mood, and definitely cut the connections with those people who always bring only negative things to you or make you feel like you're not enough. Okay, let's move on to the next step. This step will help you set up the whole mood for the day. When you go to bed, develop a positive mindset. I know a lot of people, when they go to bed, they think about the previous day and might actually criticize themselves. Oh, I did this wrong, I didn't finish that, that was such a bad interaction. So instead of doing this, look at the day from the bright side and think, at least I achieved this. And this conversation was actually very productive. In the end, you did your best. So just pat yourself on the back and say, yes, maybe I didn't achieve everything I wanted, but I did everything I could and I put all of my effort into it. When you think about the next day, don't think about all the negative things that might come to your mind, how hard the day will be or the weather will not be good. Think about the things that you want to achieve in the next day and believe in yourself. In the morning, when you wake up, start the day with a good intention. Say to yourself, I get to live another day and this is great and I will do my best. At the same time, think about something you want to achieve today. Think about something that is exciting, that you expect to happen this day, and hold on to these thoughts. It doesn't have to be anything extraordinary. And of course, the last step, it's not exactly a step, it's more the recommendation that needs to be applied to every previous step. You have to have determination and will to repeat it every day. Unfortunately, all these bad habits and bad thought patterns took a very long time for us to develop, since our childhood to our adult time. So you cannot really expect it to change over a day or a week. Sometimes it will take you months, and yes, in this case, you will need to have a lot of determination to stick to it. It's kind of like going to the gym. You cannot expect building a lot of muscles during the first couple of weeks. It will be only visible in 2 or 3 months, and it won't be as gigantic as you thought it would be. The same applies to working with your thoughts. It does take a lot of effort, but you can do it. And I hope I inspired you to take control of your mind and wake up this superpower within you that will help you live much happier and healthier life. And that's it for this video, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time.